Welcome back to the course Thermodynamics. Today we will be beginning with lecture 8 from the course, but make sure you watch the previous ones before viewing this one. In the last lecture we started with a discussion on the isothermal process. So I hope you all understand what is an isothermal process now, a process in which the temperature conditions they will be remaining constant throughout the whole process. Then we understood in the last lecture how we are going to maintain those isothermal conditions, and then we had a detailed discussion on the reversible isothermal process, what is the work done in the reversible isothermal process, and how an expansion compression process is going to take place, and again the work done in that process as well. So carrying on the discussion further, today we will be talking about the irreversible isothermal process and the work done in the process. And then after we've done that, we will be making a comparison in the work done in the irreversible isothermal process, both the expansion as well as the compression. And once we've done that also, well, we will be making a comparison of work done in the irreversible and the reversible processes. So it's going to be a detailed discussion. Every concept that is going to be asked in the examination, we are going to give you a proper illustration with diagrams and numericals so that you have a clear concept of everything. So I hope you're going to enjoy your learning with me. I am Dr. Ritu Johan, your educator from the channel H2O, the A to Z of chemistry. So let us begin today's learning. So let us begin the learning with the understanding of, first of all, isothermal expansion, which is irreversible in nature. Reversible we have already done. We are now understanding irreversible isothermal expansion. So let us start from the back. What do we mean by expansion? Well, whatever the gas is having an initial volume, well, after the process has been completed, the final volume is going to be more. Right, so what it will be having, the initial volume is going to be less than the final volume. Agreed? Then it is going to be an expansion process. This word, what do we more need? Well, we need that process to be isothermal. So isothermal means that the temperature is going to remain throughout constant. Whatever is the temperature at the start of the process, it is going to be the same throughout the whole process, and it is going to be the same temperature at the end of the process also. Therefore delta T is going to be equal to 0. And it is an irreversible process, so the process is going to go so fast that we will not be able to stop the process in between. We will not be able to at any time reverse the conditions of the process so that it can proceed backwards towards the initial state. So this is what we mean by irreversible isothermal expansion process. So this is what we require. Okay, now the next thing that we can understand is how we are going to have an experimental setup for this process. So an experimental setup, what we have is that we have this container or a vessel in which we have enclosed a gas, and it is fitted with a piston. The initial volume the gas is occupying is Vi. The final volume the gas is occupying is Vf, and you can see that the initial volume is less than the final volume. Therefore, yes, the expansion will take place if such a process is going to get completed, right? So this is an expansion process. The next thing, what do we want? We want it to be isothermal. I explained it in the last lecture also how we can have isothermal conditions, but I'll just repeat it once again. So here what we have is, well, you have to understand that in the expansion process, well, it is the gas which is pushing the piston up. It is going to be work done by the system or work done by the gas. So whenever work is done by the system, we say that it is going to be negative, right? Why we say it negative? Because it is going to decrease the internal energy of the system. Increase in energy means that delta U is going to be negative, right? Delta U negative meaning that U final minus U initial is negative, which means that the internal energy of the system initially is going to be greater than the final energy of the system. Okay, agreed? Now, whenever there is going to be a decrease in internal energy of the system, what this means is that, well, the temperature of the system is going to fall. whenever the internal energy of the system decreases, the delta T is going to be negative. The temperature of the system at the final state is going to be less than the temperature at the initial state. But here, what do we require? Well, we require the temperature to remain constant. We do not want it to be decreasing. So what do? Well, we make the vessel's walls to be conducting. What will that help in? Well, heat energy can travel into the system. It can travel outside from the system whenever the walls of the container, they will be conducting. So now in this case, what is happening is that the energy is moving out of the system. So if I take over here, well, the energy is moving out of the system in form of work, and that is going to be negative. So we want to increase the energy of the system by an equal amount so that the temperature remains constant, so that delta U, the change in internal energy, remains constant. Okay, so there should be no change in internal energy. There should be no change in temperature. So what we will be doing is we will be supplying heat to this vessel from the water bath, which is being maintained at a constant temperature. So Q amount of heat will enter into the system. If the W is this negative X joules of energy, well, we are going to supply heat, so that will be having a positive sign, X joules of energy to the system, and as a result delta U will be 0, and as a result the temperature will also be 0, and hence we will be having an isothermal process taking place. I hope this is clear to you all people. Now what happens to the water bath? Well, we have to maintain this at a constant temperature. So if it is going to supply some energy to the system, obviously its temperature will fall, but we can keep a thermometer over here to check that the temperature is falling, and we can supply heat to this so that the temperature remains constant. Okay, so this is how this process can be completed for maintaining the isothermal conditions. Now the next is we want to do this process irreversibly. We want to move the piston. Yes, the piston has moved from an initial to final, but how? Now let us understand that. Okay, so what we are going to do is, for the irreversible process, I am going to show you this process in two ways. First of all, when we will be having a single step isothermal expansion, and then when we will be having a two-step isothermal expansion. The significance of that you will also be learning over here. First of all, let us understand a single step isothermal expansion irreversibly, what is going to happen over here. So what we are going to do is we are going to expand a gas against atmospheric pressure. It can be against atmospheric pressure, it can be against any pressure. I am taking an example of atmospheric pressure. Okay, so we have irreversible process. Just remember, we have already discussed this also, that for an irreversible process, the external pressure remains constant. How it remains constant, that also I told you, but now I'm going to talk again in detail so that you have a complete understanding, right? But the external pressure that we have taken in this example over here is atmospheric pressure, that will remain constant when we are going to move the piston from this level to this level. So in the initial setup, what you can see is, in addition to the gas, the water bath, the conducting walls, so what you can see is this m naught over here. This m naught is some mass that we have placed on the piston initially to maintain equilibrium. What would that mean? Well, what we want is to maintain this piston at this position, neither it moves up nor it moves down. So that we can maintain it at this position, we have placed some mass m naught over here, and well, what is going to happen? Well, there is going to be some pressure which is going to be exerted by this m naught mass into the gravitation, acceleration due to gravity, sorry. This is going to be the force that is going to oppose the motion of the piston due to the pressure of the gas. Divide this by the area of cross section of the piston. This will give you how much pressure this mass is exerting. There is going to be some pressure which the atmosphere is exerting. Total this, well, this is going to be equal to P gas, which we are calling it as the initial pressure of the gas. So the initial pressure of the gas, this is equal to P atmosphere plus m naught G by A. I have been repeating this quite many times, so I think this should be very clear to you people. How do we calculate the initial pressure of the gas, right? All right. So now we have the piston at this level where we have the pressure of the atmosphere, also the pressure due to this mass, also opposing the pressure of the gas, and the piston is not moving. Now we have two options to remove this mass from here so that the mass outside decreases and the piston moves up and the expansion takes place. So what are we going to do? What are the two options that we have? So option number one is that we have this mass into small pieces of mass and we remove that mass one by one. If we remove that small pieces of mass one by one, that would be a reversible process. But here what do we have? What we are going to do is we are going to remove this big mass all at once. When we are going to remove this m naught mass at once, well, what is going to happen is that the external pressure, this is going to get reduced all of a sudden by quite a large amount in comparison to the pressure of the gas. So the pressure of the gas is going to be high. The pressure due to the atmosphere, that is the only pressure now left because we have removed the whole mass which was lying on the piston. So there is going to be a large difference between the pressure of the gas and the atmospheric pressure, and well, the piston is going to quickly move up to this position. There is going to be no way once we have removed this mass, well, that the piston is going to stop in between. That is why this is a very fast process, because we just cannot stop it in between. We cannot push the piston back again. Well, this is called as a irreversible process. Okay, I hope this is clear. So the moment we remove this mass, what is the pressure outside? P atmosphere. And the volume from Vi to Vf, this is going to decrease at this atmospheric pressure only. Once it has attained this final volume, then again there is going to be an equilibrium which will be established between the atmospheric pressure and the pressure of the gas. Okay, so what has happened in the process is that the volume of the gas, this expands from V to V plus dV. If we consider a small change in volume, we can call that as dV. If we talk about the complete change in volume, that it will be from Vi to Vf. So for a small change in volume, there will be small work done during the expansion process, and for that expansion process, the pressure will remain same, that is the external pressure into dV. Okay, and the external pressure for this example, we are taking it as the atmospheric pressure. Okay, so now the atmospheric pressure against which throughout the process, well, the piston is going to move up. In the reversible process, what had happened was that we were moving the piston very slowly, and at each step the pressure of the atmosphere, the external pressure, this was becoming equal to the pressure of the gas. Therefore the pressure outside, the external pressure, this was always changing. It was not constant when it was a reversible process. But in the irreversible process, the process is happening very quickly. There is no point in between the initial to the final state that the process is able to establish an equilibrium between the external pressure and the pressure of the gas. Okay, it is only at the final state that the pressure of the gas will again become equal to the atmospheric pressure. So this is going to be work done for a small amount of volume, and if we talk about the whole volume Vi to Vf, well, we can integrate this so that we will be getting complete work done. So that complete work done is going to be P external into dV, integrating it from Vi to Vf, and the negative sign in front we have put it so that the answer comes in accordance with the sign convention. Here we have work done by the system. So work done is going to be negative. Okay, but if this negative sign would not have been here, well, the change in volume Vf minus V initial, this would have been what? Well, this would have been positive because the initial volume is going to be less than the final volume, right? So Vf minus Vi, this is positive. If we did not put this negative sign in front, well, the work done, the value would have come as positive. So this would have not gone in accordance with the sign convention. That is why we put the negative sign over here. So everything that I have been talking about throughout the previous lectures, I have again discussed it with you so that the concept is very clear in your mind and there is no problem in understanding anything. So this is the expression that we have for work done in an irreversible process. Now this process is just not only irreversible, it is isothermal also. So let us do some more changes in this expression for the isothermal process. Now the expression that we have, this is the general expression that we have for the irreversible process. Here we have not considered the isothermal conditions so far. So what will happen when the temperature is going to be constant? Let us understand that. So here we have a vessel in which we have taken a gas. So we have taken some fixed amount of gas over here. Let it be n moles of the gas, and the gas that we have taken is an ideal gas. If it is an ideal gas, what this means is we can apply the ideal gas equation PV equal to nRT. We have taken fixed moles of gas, so N is going to be constant. R, the universal gas constant, so again it is a constant, and temperature for an isothermal process will also be constant, so that will not be changing. So what this means is PV is going to be constant, and we can also write that P1 V1 is going to be equal to nRT, and P2 V2 is also going to be equal to nRT. So if P1 V1 are the initial states of the system and P2 V2, this is the final state of the system, can we write Vf going to be equal to nRT over Pf and Vi going to be equal to nRT over Pi? Agreed? No problem. We can substitute these values in the equation. Now what about this P external? Can you tell about this P external in terms of pressure of the gas? What is it going to be? Well, here what you have to remember is that we started with an initial system where we had P external to be equal to the pressure of the gas, right? We have a final system also. Here also P external will be equal to the pressure of the gas. Okay, but in between the process, well, we had removed the pressure. Okay, so here the P external is P atmospheric plus the pressure due to this amount mass of so, right? So this was the pressure. But now what is it? This is only P atmosphere that we have taken in this example. So this is the difference, but these are the 2 points where there is an equilibrium between the system and the surrounding. In between, from this to this, well, the pressure is going to be P atmosphere, and this will not be in equilibrium with the system. This is an irreversible process. This is how you have to remember it. Okay, so what do we have? We have P external to be equal to the pressure that is going to be final for the gas. At the end, the pressure of the gas has to be equal to the external pressure. Only then it will be not moving further. Okay. In between, there is going to be only atmospheric pressure outside and the pressure inside. This is more. That is why the piston is moving, and it will keep on moving because there was no equilibrium established in between. Fine. So now when we are going to substitute these values into the expression over here, what you will be getting is W irreversible isothermal. Well, this will be equal to minus PF, the final pressure of the gas, multiplied by nRT over PF minus nRT over PI. And if you will take out the common nRT out, what you will be getting is minus nRT 1 minus PF over PI. This will be equal to work irreversible isothermal. Okay, I hope this is all very clear to you people, no confusions. So this is one expression we have for irreversible isothermal work in case the pressures they are given to you and temperature is given to you, and this is the expression that we have when the external pressure and the volume this is given to you. Okay, clear? Good enough. So now let us talk about the PV diagram for the process. So let us assume that the process is starting at point A and this is finishing at point B. So the initial state of the system, what are going to be the state variables? Pi, Vi and temperature. And at B it is going to be Pf, Vf and temperature constant because it is an isothermal process that is taking place. So here we had some mass which we had placed. So this was the initial pressure that we had. So the external pressure, this was equal to the external internal pressure which we denote by Pi. So this is Pi, the pressure of the gas, and this is equal to the external pressure will be equal to the P atmosphere plus the pressure because of this weight that we have put on the piston, right? Then what did we do? We removed this weight. Remove this weight and the pressure outside this became only atmospheric pressure, right? This is P atmosphere, P external that we have, and when the process is going to get completed, well, P final is also going to be equal to this is what we've just now discussed. So this is what we have at the final state. So this means that when the piston is going to move from this to this position, well, what is going to be the pressure? It is going to be equal to P external, and for this example this is P atmosphere. So this is the sudden drop in pressure that has happened, and then after the drop has happened, well, change in volume is going to be so sudden that the volume is going to increase from a Vi to a Vf. Okay, so this is a small lesser volume, this is a larger volume because across the x-axis, along the x-axis, the volume is increasing. So this is an expansion that is taking place. So what is going to be the work done? Well, work done is going to be pressure into the change in volume. So if it is a small change in volume, if we are representing this by dV, okay, so if this is dV, so what is going to be the work? Well, it is going to be pressure into dV. And if we have to talk about the all work, well, it will be all small amount of dVs that we will be adding from Vi to Vf. So this will give us the pressure, and we put a negative sign for the sign convention. So now this P external, this is P external only, right? This is P external. In this case, this is P atmosphere, and this is also the pressure of the gas also. Okay, so these things should be very clear to you. And from the PV diagram, well, P external into this change in volume from Vf to Vi, sorry, Vi to Vf, well, this is going to be the area of the PV diagram. This gives us work for the irreversible isothermal expansion process, right? And we have not drawn this curve over here because only the initial and the final states can be located. The intermediate states of pressure of the gas, they are not defined, so we do not draw the reverse hyperbola in this case. We just simply draw point A and point B. If we want to draw the reverse hyperbola so as to differentiate, as you will be seeing later on, to differentiate between the reversible and the irreversible processes, well, we will be drawing it with a dotted line just this way. Okay, so because this shows that the in between the intermediate state, the pressure is not defined. So we just know about the pressure at the final and the initial state of the system. So next, now let us understand about the two-step isothermal expansion process, how it will be taking place. So essentially it is going to be the same, only that the whole process we will be completing it in two steps. So we will be having here again an expansion of a gas against a constant external pressure, and what we will be doing in the experiment is, rather than taking a m naught, We will be replacing this with two masses m1 and m2 such that the total mass is equal to the m naught that we had taken in the one step isothermal expansion. Okay, so then you can make a comparison between the two processes, which one is going to be better and so on. So that is why we have taken two masses which is going to be equal to the mass that we had taken in the one step process. So what will we be doing now? Well, what we will be doing is, first of all, we will be removing m1 mass in step number 1, and in step number 2 we will be removing the m2 mass. So initially, if the volume was Vi, the removal of m1 mass we will be getting V1 volume, and then after we have removed m2 also we will be getting the final volume. So this was the initial one step process from a Vi to a Vf. We have put an additional step in the process, making it a two-step isothermal expansion. So what we will be happening is that then we will be removing only M1. The gas is going to expand only against the constant external pressure till V1. So this external pressure, we will be calling this as P external 1, and this will be equal to P atmosphere plus M2G by A. Right, so now what is the pressure outside? It is the pressure atmosphere, and the pressure because of this mass into the acceleration due to gravity divided by the area of cross section, you will be getting pressure plus atmosphere pressure. So this is at this position the external pressure, right? So when you have removed this M1 immediately you removed, the pressure decreased outside to P external 1, and then the whole process from Vi to V1 expansion that will be taking place. Right, and because it is an isothermal expansion, so PV is going to be constant, so we will be getting P1 V1 equal to Pi Vi. Next, what we will be doing is we will be removing the M2 mass also. So when we are going to remove the M2 mass, now the expansion is going to be from V1 to Vf, and this mass has also been removed. So we have again a constant external pressure Px2, and this Px2 now in this case is going to be equal to the atmospheric pressure. There is no other weight on the piston. Right, so we have P external 2 to be equal to P atmosphere. The volume is going to expand from V1 to Vf. So work done for the first expansion, that is from Vi to V1, what would it be? Well, it is going to be P external into delta V. So this will P external was what? P atmosphere as M2G divided by A into V1 minus Vi, right? And when it is going to be the second expansion, we will be expanding it from V1 to Vf. So here the work done is going to be equal to P atmosphere into Vf minus V1. So the sum total of this W1 plus W2, this will be equal to work done in the process. Now, if you look at the PV diagram for this, you will be able to understand what is going to be the change in the work done. So when we compare now the PV diagram with the process that is happening, we had an initial volume Vi, this is Vi, then the volume expanded to V1, so this is V1, along the x-axis the volume is increases, and then when we removed M2 further, the volume increases to Vf, so this is Vf, the maximum volume for the three values that we have, Vi, V1 and Vf. What about the pressure? Initially, the system is in equilibrium with the surroundings. So here, V of the gas or V internal, well, this is going to be equal to V external. And V external in this case is going to be what? Well, we can also call this as Pi also. So P initial process also, or in many of the books you will be even writing this as P1 and the final state to be P2. So that way also it goes on. Fine. So whatever is written, you know that the pressure inside is going to be equal to the pressure outside. So we have the pressure outside because of the pressure of the atmosphere plus m naught mass, which is going to be equal to m naught will be equal to m1 plus m2, right? And m naught into G over A. This is going to be the pressure because of these two weights. This is equal to the external pressure, and the external pressure, this is going to be equal to Pi. So this is what we have. right? And then what we did, we removed M1, so the pressure immediately decreased and it became P external 1, you can say. Okay, so this is P external 1. Again, now what is going to happen is, now the pressure, this is going to be the process is going to take place at this P external 1, so the volume is going to expand from Vi to Vf. So this area, this is going to be equal to work done, because we have work done to be equal to P external into delta V, right? And the negative sign, this is only for the sign convention, so you can put that negative sign also. Fine. Next, what is going to happen? Well, again, we are going to remove M2 also. When we are going to remove M2, now what is going to be the external pressure left? Well, that will be only P atmosphere. P atmosphere, this is going to drop down again from this P external 1 to P atmosphere, and then the expansion will be taking place. So this will be the work that is going to be done. Okay, so I hope clear. From the PV diagram, how do you calculate work done in the two-step isothermal process? Now let us compare the work done in one-step isothermal process and two-step isothermal process. So in this diagram, now you can see over here, this is the first one, this is one step process, and this is a two-step process. The PV diagrams already explained to you. Can you see what is the difference over here? Well, the difference is that this area, this is the work done, which is common to both the diagrams. But here, along with this area of work done in one step process, when we increase the process to two steps, well, this was an additional portion of work that is being done, right? So this means from one step to two step, the work done, this has increased. Work done in a two-step isothermal irreversible expansion is going to be more than a one-step process. And this also means that if we keep on increasing the number of steps, well, the work done is also going to increase. And if the number of steps we are going to increase such that n becomes approximately equal to infinity, n is approaching infinity, well, the process will be like the reversible one only, right? So we will be breaking the whole process into small little steps, and these are infinite number of steps. So that is what we had for the reversible process also. And from that, what you can conclude is that with the increase in number of steps, as the work done is going to be increasing in an irreversible expansion, so in the reversible expansion, the maximum work will be done. Okay, so this is going to be an important conclusion. I'm just going to give you the write-up for that also. But from here, at least this is clear that from one step to two step process, the work done, this has increased in an irreversible expansion, right? If you're going to increase the number of steps further, the work done is going to increase further. And if we make this n number of steps to be almost infinity, well, we will be having what? We will be having a reversible process. So therefore, maximum work done will be for the for the reversible isothermal expansion process. Okay. So now let us look at the opposite side of the process, talk about the compression process. So first of all, again, the single step isothermal compression, let us discuss that. So I think now this is going to be very easy. That first we had a piston where we had not placed any mass. So we had a maximum volume Vi, and then we placed some mass M0 over the massless piston, and because of this, the pressure outside, this is going to increase, and therefore the volume inside is going to decrease because of that compression. What will be the work done? Work done will be against again a constant external pressure, and this time the constant external pressure is going to be P atmosphere plus M0 G by A. So this will be the external pressure into the small change in volume, product of that negative sign. This will be a small work done for any small step, and if you are going to integrate it for the total work done by the compression process, it will be from a Vi to Vf and integration. So this will be equal to minus P external into delta V, where delta V is going to be equal to Pf minus Vi. So this will be the work done. Let us see the PV diagram for that now. So in the PV diagram, what you can see is that V final, this is less than V initial because a compression that is taking place, and the P initial, this is going to be less than the P final also because we have put some mass over here. Here also there was an equilibrium between the system and the surrounding. At the final state also there is going to be an equilibrium between the system and the surrounding. So we can say Pi, this is going to be equal to P atmosphere, and P external that we have written over here, this will be the final pressure of the gas also once the process has been completed, and this is going to be equal to P atmosphere plus m naught G upon A. Clear? So we are going to do what? We are going to increase the pressure from Pi to P final or P external at this condition, and then there is going to be all of a sudden that the pressure has increased. So we will be seeing a compression of the gas taking place from Vf to Vi. So work done, this will be equal to P external into Vf minus Vi with a negative sign, but in the area what you will be seeing is just this value. So what you are going to get is P external is this. At this constant P external, this will be the area that will be equal to the work done. So this is what we have as work done in a single step isothermal process. So now let us quickly see the two-step isothermal compression. I think now it is going to be easy for you. We have first of all a system where we had the initial volume of the gas to be Vi and the pressure to be Pi or P gas. And because the system is in equilibrium with the surroundings, so Pi, this will be also equal to P atmosphere. Okay, after that what did we do in the compression? We placed a m naught mass. Now we will not be placing m naught mass, we will be replacing m naught by two masses m1 and m2 such that m1 plus m2 this is equal to m naught. So first of all in step number 1 we will be placing m1 mass, and then in step number 2 we will be placing m2 mass also. When we placed m1 mass, what happened? The gas is compressed against the external pressure P external 1 till V1 volume. And what will be P external 1? This will be equal to P atmosphere plus m1 G upon A, and the work done this will be equal to P atmosphere plus m1 G upon A into V1 minus Vi. Clear? I hope no problem. Then we placed m2 mass. Now it is going to be expanding from compressing from V1 to Vf. Again, against this will be on against a constant external pressure. This case now the constant external pressure is going to be Px2. And Px2 this will be equal to what? P atmosphere plus m naught G upon A, because m1 plus m2 we are saying this is equal to m naught. Right, and work done this will be equal to minus P atmosphere plus m naught G by A into Vf minus Vi. Again, if the process we will be taking place in n number of steps, well, we are going to be having n approaching to infinity. It will be just like that the process we will be having a reversible one. So the difference between an irreversible process and the reversible process is only this much, that we have increased the number of steps in the irreversible process to infinity. Okay, I hope the concept is clear. So now in the PV diagram, what you can correlate this is that we had the initial volume to Vi and the initial pressure to be equal to P atmosphere, right? So this is Vi and this is P atmosphere. Then we put m1 weight, so the pressure increased to P atmosphere plus m1 G by A, and against this constant external pressure we will be having a compression from Vi to V1. So this area will be the work done in the process. This we have written as W1. Fine. Then we placed m2. When it was m2, now the external pressure, this becomes P atmosphere plus m naught G by A. So this is going to be now the final external pressure that we have. Again the compression will be taking from this place now to this place, right, from V1 to Vf. So this will be the work done, that will be W2. The total work done will be equal to W1 plus W2, and this is work done on the system in the compression process. What was work done in one step process? Well, if you remember, what we had done was from P atmosphere we directly moved on to this. So from a V initial, we got this, right? So this is against constant external pressure of this value that we had an compression taking place. So this was the total area work done in the single step process. And what does this mean is, in the single step process, the work done is going to be more in the two-step process when we are having a compression, right? So work done in a two-step isothermal irreversible compression, this is less than the one-step process, whereas in the case of expansion, work done in the two-step process was more than the one-step process. So both are not equal. That is what you have to remember. Now let us make a comparison of isothermal expansion versus isothermal compression in both the reversible as well as the irreversible processes. So first of all, what you can see is this is the PV diagram for the isothermal irreversible expansion. Okay, and this is for compression, and you can see that work done is not the same in the two processes. Clear? This is one step process that I have taken an example. You can see the two-step process also. You find that work done is not going to be the same for irreversible process when expansion and compression that is taking place. Whereas if we talk about the reversible process, in the reversible process, work done is going to be the same in expansion as well as compression. Only difference was of the negative sign, which denotes that work is done on the system or work is done by the system. All right, so you have to remember this very important fact, that work done in an isothermal irreversible expansion and compression is not equal, whereas in an isothermal reversible expansion and compression, work done is going to be equal, only of the opposite sign it is going to be. Area is going to be the same that we have for the reversible process. Okay, I hope this is clear. So now that you have seen the PV diagrams for the reversible isothermal process, the irreversible isothermal process, you understand what is the difference between them. I'm going to give you two examples, two numerical questions, which will help you remember all these results very well, because numbers, they are very easily understood by each and every one of us. So let us see the question that we have. The question is, we have 1 mole of an ideal gas which we are subjecting to an isothermal expansion of 300 Kelvin in the following ways. The first way is that we will be doing the reversible isothermal expansion from an initial pressure of 2 atmosphere to a final pressure of 1 atmosphere. And the second part is that we have one step irreversible expansion taking place from again initial pressure of 2 atmosphere to final of 1 atmosphere against a constant external pressure of 1 atmosphere. So first of all, what is there? Well, we have the same temperature. Same temperature means it is going to be an isothermal process. Okay, so these are certain things that may not be even given to you in the question, but it is given that 1 mole of an ideal gas is subjected to a thermodynamic process at a temperature of 300 Kelvin, constant 300 Kelvin temperature. So you should know, if the temperature is constant, it will be an isothermal process. Next, what is given to us is that in the process, the initial pressure is 2 and the final is 1. So the initial pressure is more than the final pressure. It is an ideal gas at same temperature. So P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. So here, if the pressure is more, the volume will be less. Here the pressure is less, the volume will be more. So volume is increasing, so obviously it is an expansion process. I did not need to write it as an isothermal expansion. It is just to make you understand these things that I'm giving you in the questions. These may not be given to you, so you should be able to find out what is given to you. And in the second process, what you can see is that against constant external pressure of 1 atmosphere is given. So whenever the external pressure is constant, this is mentioned, well, it will be an irreversible process, because for the reversible, well, the expansion will be taking place against a variable pressure. Every time the external pressure is going to vary. So these are certain things that should be, first of all, very clear to you. Now let us see how we are going to do the question. So we have, first of all, the reversible process. So for reversible isothermal process, what is the formula for work done? This will be equal to minus nRT, natural log of P1 by P2. Okay, and when it was volume, it was V2 by V1. So now let us put these values. So the temperature, this is 300. R, I have just written as R. You can put down the value of the gas constant because I just want to do a comparison over here, so I've just not put the value of R. All right, and then we have N to be 1 mole, and it is going to be P1 is 2 and P1 is 1, so it will be 2 by 1. So this is the natural log of 2. If you are going to put this into the log to the base 10, this is what you will be getting, 2 minus 2.303 into 300 R log of 2, and when you're going to solve this, the value that you will be getting is minus 208 R. Okay, and this is the PV diagram for the process. In this, what will be happening is, again, throughout with slow steps, we will be reaching from a pressure of 2 atmosphere to a pressure of 1 atmosphere, and the volume will be changing from a V1 to a V2 volume. Okay, so this is what is happening in the expansion process. Okay, so now let us see the opposite side, the irreversible process. So for the irreversible process, we have P external into delta V with the negative sign. That will be the formula for the irreversible process. So P final or P external, this will be equal to P2, and the value that you will be putting for the pressure, that will be RT by P2 minus RT by P1, the derivations that we've already done. So you are going to just put these values, and what you will be finding is that this value comes up as minus 150 R. The minus signs, they are denoting what? They are denoting that work is done by the system. So which is more work done? 208 is more work done in comparison to 150 R. So what does this mean? This means that work done in the reversible isothermal expansion, this is greater than the work done in the irreversible isothermal expansion, which is also visible to us in the case of the PV diagrams also. Here the area under the PV diagram, this is more in comparison to the PV diagram area over here, and the area is what gives us the work done in the process. Okay, so I hope now you will be remembering these results very well, because these should be very clear to you for your examination. So now let us look at the compression process also. So 1 mole of an ideal gas is subjected to isothermal compression at 300 Kelvin in the following ways. So first we have reversible isothermal expansion from initial pressure of 1 atmosphere to final pressure of 2 atmosphere. So pressure is increasing, the volume will be decreasing because it is isothermal process. Again, P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. So this shows that this is the compression that is going to take place in the process. And then we have the irreversible process, again from the same initial to final values against a constant external pressure of 2 atmosphere. Okay, so again, if the constant external pressure is being used, well, it is going to be a irreversible process. So what is going to be the work done? So first case, we have the reversible process. So the formula that we will be using will be the same, minus nRT, natural log of P1 by P2. If you're going to put down the values, what you will be getting is that it with the work done will come up as plus 208 R. Okay, and in the irreversible process, when you're going to put down the values in the formula, the value of work done, this will come up as plus 300 R. So what is first of all this plus sign showing? This is work done on the system. Okay, and work done on the system is more in case of the irreversible process. So what is the conclusion over here? Work reversible isothermal compression, this is less than the work irreversible isothermal compression. More work has to be done on the system in the irreversible process in comparison to the work done on the system by the reversible process. Another thing that you can understand from here is that if you compare this question with the previous question, in the previous question the value for the expansion process had come up as minus 208 R. So these two values, 208R, 208R, both are the same. So which also proves that work done in the isothermal reversible expansion, this is equal to compression only with the negative sign, right? So the negative sign is showing work done by the system and work done on the system. Otherwise, the value of the work done, that is going to be the same in case of the reversible isothermal process. Clear? On the other side, the value that you had got here was minus 150 R. So this, you can see that this is going to be more, they are not equal. So expansion and compression work done is not equal in the irreversible process. So this is what you have seen previously with the PV diagrams. Now I'm showing you these with the numerical values so that you remember these always. In the irreversible process, the expansion and compression work done will not be equal, whereas for the reversible process, the expansion and compression work done will be equal. Okay. So now, why did we do all this discussion about the work done in the irreversible process, work done in the reversible process, work done in expansion, compression? Well, this is because we want to develop machines that are maximum efficient. And now what we know is that the efficiency of the irreversible process is always less than that of the reversible one under similar conditions, because there will be always loss of energy because of the dissipative forces like friction, etc. All right. The maximum efficient process is going to be the reversible process, but this is a hypothetical situation. We cannot have a reversible process in actual practice, but we try to develop our machines in such a way that we have them as close as possible to the reversible process, breaking it into as many steps so that we have maximum efficiency for our machines. So what we can conclude is, whenever there is going to be a work producing process, whenever the work has to be done by the system, maximum work can be obtained by the reversible process, which you have seen in the case of the expansion process. So expansion, the reversible process was producing much more work as compared to the irreversible work. And whenever there is going to be work requiring process, that will be work done on the system, it is minimum work is required in the reversible process. So we want to spend less energy whenever we have to do work on a machine. So wherever we will be having work less done, that is going to be beneficial. So again, it is going to be the reversible process where minimum work is required. Okay, so for work by the system, again the reversible process is good, and whenever it is going to be work done on the system, again the reversible process is better than the irreversible process. So before I conclude, I'm just going to put down some important conclusions. Conclusion number one is, whenever work is done by the gas, it is going to be maximum in case of the reversible process. Whenever work is done on the gas, it is minimum in case of the reversible process. To obtain maximum output, giving minimum input, different machines are designed to work reversibly. Output is going to be work done by the engine, machine or the system, and input is going to be work done on the system by the surroundings. When expansion or compression takes place against constant external pressure, then it is called as the irreversible process, and when expansion or compression takes place against variable external pressure, then it is going to be a reversible process. Whenever a change is taking place during the process, that part is going to be always irreversible. So however small the step may be, in that small step, well, the external pressure remains constant. So small little step even of the reversible process, that is also irreversible. All right, so I hope now the whole concept, this is clear to you. I have given you the maximum that is possible for this lecture. You enjoyed your learning with me, and you now all know what is an isothermal process and all the important concepts related to that. So see you again for the next lecture. I hope you're going to be back with me. Bye bye.